Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of NC-17. My name is Josh, and today with us we have a very special guest. We have Stephanie Ward. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. It's really good to be here sitting in front of a neutral background.
Oh yeah. uh First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on. I know I reached out of a whim and it was, so thank you for coming on.
Well, we get excited whenever people take the time to like look at indie films and like put effort into reviewing them because that's really what gets people to watch indie films. So like the Mad Angel folks were really excited when we saw your review. So it was exciting to get to come talk about things with you now.
Oh yeah. Before we get into the movies, let's give a little bit of a background on was it always a childhood dream to be in movies, or was it a different road and then you got led to this road?
Growing up, I was more into just like playing pretend. Obviously, like most kids, I thought I would be a veterinarian, but then the real blood and gore of veterinary work was not for me. So ended up moving towards fake blood and gore. But I did a lot. I was really into playing pretend, got really into theater, really into cosplay. So imagination wise, I love characters and stuff, but film wasn't really like my main plan when I was a child, no.
Uh, uh, so what kind of got you on a track to want to start pursuing being in movies?
The same kind of stuff, like the thing I did want to be when I was little was a Sailor Scout, and unfortunately, I can't be a Sailor Scout in real life, and I can't be an elf in real life, and I can't do those things in real life. But film and theater gave me the opportunity to get to be and do all these things I wouldn't get to do in real life. So I started in theater, moved into cosplay, started going through that, and then naturally just moved towards film.
Oh yeah. Uh, your early ventures in film, what were those days like? In like your first audition, was you nervous, or was it just like you had the mindset, I'm gonna smash this no matter what it is?
One secret about me is I'm always nervous at all times. I'm always scared. I'm always sweaty. I've never been to an audition that I wasn't nervous at. So I'm always nervous. However, early films, a lot of the stuff I've been lucky enough that a lot of the stuff I've done, I've been asked to do, or like somebody reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I saw something else you did. Do you want to try this?" So early films was a lot of like, "Do you guys want to make a Lord of the Rings film for my book project?" Or like a Power Rangers fan film I was in, a Batman fan film that never went anywhere. So a lot of like fandom based work before moving towards indie stuff.
Oh yeah. Uh, it says the first one on here is the Shards of Divinity. You play a
Yeah, that was
oh,
a
go ahead.
fantasy project that never went anywhere. It was based off a like homebrew D&D game that we all got really excited about, and so we filmed a sizzle reel for it, but never actually did anything with it. But it was awful fun. Oh,
Oh yeah. Uh, you went on to be in Barely Coping. You played Robin.
yeah. Yes.
Uh, can you give a brief synopsis about what that film is and what your character was about in that movie?
Yeah, that was my first full-length film. I'd auditioned for Mad Angel for Radiant Dark, which was their fantasy film, and we ended up doing some like work to get that off the ground, but then they had to put that on pause, so they ended up doing Barely Coping in the meantime. And I've never done any other projects like Barely Coping ever again, but I really enjoyed it. It was a like absurd rom-com about grief and how different people deal with it and like what you need to overcome. Robin was not a nice character. She gets redemption. No spoilers, I guess. But Robin is the younger sister of the main love interest, and she doesn't have a lot of respect for relationships.
All
So
right. Uh, your first foray into horror, uh, what movie would you say would be like your first full on, just like frightening movie?
I guess my first horror movie probably would have been Killin' Time, would be my first one.
That's 3 Days in the Woods Part Two.
Yes, yeah. Although they got relicensed as just Killin' Time, but
Uh, you play Trixie.
yes.
If you can give a little bit, we're gonna get to the main movie, but we're gonna spice it up a little bit. So then when we get to the main course, uh, can you give a brief synopsis on what your character Trixie was in Killing Time?
Yeah, Trixie was one of my favorite roles I've ever played. She was basically Sherry Moon and Harley Quinn. So a little bit obnoxious, like Harley Quinn, Sherry Moon, e-girl, and I got to be the bad guy, which my passion is Final Girls, but I will say a little bit of murderer psychopath was awful fun because she was also kind of like goofy and sweet and really relationship driven, so I liked her.
Oh yeah. Uh, Actually, so the next movie we're gonna talk about, I actually do own. I just haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
Axe Grinders 666.
Yes.
You play Callie.
Hmm.
So, like, without spoiling anything, can you give a brief synopsis on that film and just what it was like being on that set? Because I've seen all the other Axe Grinder movies, and I'm like, they're kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so Matt Angel got asked to do the six Axe Grinder movie, which obviously is owned by them. And it was really fun because the synopsis was just super simple, like, hey, goth girls go to the beach and run into an ex, and nothing goes well from there because there's also Freddie Palmer. And it was a lot of fun. I really like that series because it's so self-aware and absurd. You get to do just a lot of absolutely ridiculous stuff. And it seemed like it was pretty well received by Axe Grinder fans. So
Like I said, I haven't watched it yet. I will be watching it over the weekend. Of course,
great.
my wife is going to stay away from it because she don't watch that stuff. So, uh, all right, the meat and potatoes, Graveyard Shark.
Yeah.
You play Abby.
Hmm.
Uh, from my take, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong, but my take is your character is kind of like a mix between I don't take this bullshit and I also care about this bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice description of her character.
Uh, so I watched this movie 3 times already.
Wow. Okay.
I like when I get into a movie, I get into a movie. And you said you saw the review, right?
Yes,
Do
yes.
you remember what rating I gave it?
8.9 out of 10 because it was too short.
Well, after the third time, it's a 10. Oh,
Wow.
10.
Okay,
There we go.
great. Uh,
Uh, cause see, my thing is going into a movie like this, you always want the entertainment.
mhm.
And what really drove this was also not the CGI, was the practical effects, but what really
Yeah.
drove this was all the dialogue you guys had. So filming that movie and with the cast and crew, what was that like? And did you draw from any experiences of like, maybe some childhood nightmares or something like that to kind of get into character?
So the lucky thing for me is that the director of that film, I hope I'm not blowing up the spot by saying this, but when he first thought of the movie, he's like the scene that inspired him that he really wanted to see happen was the scene where Abby meets Captain Seaburn in the bar, where he gives the backstory of the graveyard shark. That scene is pretty absurd, and Matt Peters, the director, was like, I just wanted to see you two play off each other, and I could see how that would look. Because luckily, I've worked with Matt as a director several times before, and so as a lot of that cast, I really like working with like an ensemble cast because you see like the dialogue. Matt was really good with like here's kind of dialogue, but he knew that actors like myself or Burndell were gonna say mostly that, but sometimes we go, well, okay, I go a little off script. Burndell will absolutely go really, really off script, and it is fascinating to keep up with. There are so many takes of that scene where I completely break because Burndell has done something that I was not expecting, and it is very funny. So, uh, dialogue wise, it was great because Matt knew the voices of his actors. Like a lot of us have worked with him before. So he knew, the way that I talk or the way that, Ryan Santiago could do a dialect and can have a lot of gravitas in the way that he speaks, and obviously knows Brundell's comedic chops. So
Oh yeah. Uh, the one scene that drives me absolutely bonkers with insanity is when you guys are on the like group talking, and then out of nowhere he comes in and he's saying all this other stuff. Then he grabs the donuts and says "toodles." I'm like, that breaks me every time.
I wish there was an uncut version of that scene of like all of the outtakes, all of the different things, because he never came in and did the same thing twice. Like his rant was never the same. And there are so many, there has to be hours of footage of all of us like sitting in the support group just trying not to laugh. Or sometimes just be so shocked and appalled by the things he would say. So.
uh, would you say that because you said your dream is like was always to be the final girl, and no spoilers, but would you say that there's possibly maybe the character can be in another film?
I would, yeah. This is one of the films that we've had people ask us, will there be another Graveyard Shark? Um, and we kind of set a couple of things up to make that possible. There is a whole ending sequence like that was cut, like a couple minutes at the end that we ended up cutting because it was running pretty long. But there's definitely room for a sequel.
Oh yeah. Well, let's talk about that ending. Like the last 10 minutes, I did not see that coming. Like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but when they get the chance, everyone should check this film out because awesome cast, awesome dialogue, great effects. I mean, just everything all around is perfect. Uh, when you were reading the script and you saw that was going to happen, what was your first initial thought?
I told Nat after I read this script, I said it was one of the most ridiculous things I'd ever read, and that I could not wait to do it. I love reading a script and seeing what happens and going, how are they gonna do that? Like, how is that gonna look? How are they gonna make it happen? Especially knowing that, we do a lot of practical effects over there. So, but I thought it was great. And looking back at the script, this ending twist is really kind of there's a lot of little ways in which it's laid out and like dialogue hints and things like that. So it was kind of cool. I like the way this movie has some twists, but they're like supported if you know what to look for.
Oh yeah. Uh, there was so the graveyard shark actually. The dude was built like yeah. uh, did you ever find it kind of once the guy was in full costume? Did you ever find it kind of intimidating a little bit or no?
Um, Definitely a little. I mean, the first time you see like a movie monster and you're playing fear of that creature and he's covered in blood and things like that, it is definitely unnerving. Granted, the suit itself was really hard, so they were never in it for long because the head weighed so much. But yeah, I mean, especially when you're in a scene with somebody performing in the suit, because it's not just a guy in like, a green screen jumpsuit. It's a human being, but they're fully embodying a monster. So it's kind of really a cool opportunity to get to work with a monster on set.
Was there a certain effect or a certain scene in the movie that you was like, that's my favorite, or was it just overall like the whole thing was your favorite?
Oh, my favorite part. Um, Gosh. I love the two ice cream stoners, which I know if you haven't seen the film sounds absolutely ridiculous to say out loud. I guess it's not even an effect, but there's a scene where Abby comes out of the bar and the two like ice cream stoner themed characters are freestyle rapping, and that was not scripted. The performer who played Pookie just wrote that, and for some reason, it just tickled me so much. And getting to do like the montage scene, Abby does the Devil's Lettuce with them, and that montage scene was really fun.
Oh yeah. The introduction of Pookie was probably one of the oddest but like funniest ways of being introduced. I mean, they're just sitting there writing that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I love this movie, man. uh, would you say that your character and pretty much your counterpart, your cameraman, would you say that your characters kind of play like brother sister a little bit?
Yeah, I guess there is kind of like a sibling energy there. There's definitely a lot of contention, but she tolerates him even though he's, always kind of messing up, and he tolerates her even though she's pretty mean. So,
uh, the running gag in the movie that I caught on was he kept saying, "My mom says I shouldn't be out after dark time." My mom, and I'm like, I think he says that like two or three times in the movie.
yes.
Uh, and it didn't click until it clicked, and I'm not gonna ruin it, but once it clicked, I was like, that was awesome. Oh
Yeah, because it just plays like, the mama's boy archetype, but there's actually another layer under it. So,
yeah. Uh, was you on set for the mermaid scene? That's all I'm gonna go with right there.
I was not on set for the mermaid scene, which I liked that scene was a surprise the first time I saw it because obviously I'm in the scene where the Captain Seaburn is explaining the mermaid scene. So I that was the first thing we filmed of the film was that scene in the bar. Was the very first thing. So that was my first experience on set for this film. He explains it in detail, but I did not get to see it until we watched a rough cut of the film.
Oh yeah. When you first saw that, what was your first reaction?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess just that. Just oh gosh. It's
I'm not gonna lie, it was
looking
mine too.
open mouth. Huh. Okay.
I mean, there's like so much involved with this movie that you got to appreciate not only the movie and the actors and everything like that, but just the art that you guys are putting out there in this movie because it's a little bit of everything if you really look at it. You know, would you say that would you say your character from beginning to end kind of had like the hero arc?
Yeah, I would. I don't know if I guess she does kind of do a little Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, even as far as like, her dad's the mentor who, I mean, no spoilers, her dad's not alive. He died when she was little. But like that mentor character that's missing, the not believing in herself and learning to believe in herself. It's actually more of like a masculine hero's journey archetype than you often see. And I really like that about the character. I really like that she's driven to do what she needs to do. She will help other people along the way, and she learns to believe in her own capabilities and also try to make the people around her better, which I like that about her.
Oh yeah. Uh, would you say this is a fair assessment? Even after the twist at the end, your character is just like, get the hell away from me.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think she's just kind of like, for real, like after all this is the end. Like she's just been through so much, and she's just kind of like, whatever, why wouldn't it be that way?
Oh,
Um, the twist at the end we keep hinting at, there's like a couple different ways to interpret it. I have my like interpretation of what happened, but it's kind of open. I don't think there is an official one. As far as again, no spoilers, but the twist and the fate of Abby's dad, uh, people have different opinions on it, so I have mine, but
oh yeah. Uh, the opening scene when when the two couples are going into the graveyard and they're telling a story of pretty much what's going to happen throughout the rest of the movie, and then they start getting what they get. What would you say was the best part of just the opening?
the setup, like the set was so great. The like graveyard sign, that at the very end of that scene, like the very classic dramatic monster kill, just getting the full graveyard shark, the mist, but just it. almost the like image of it was almost a little Scooby-Doo to me, which for some reason I really liked.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and I think that this is up for debate too. Some people with monster movies are like, you shouldn't show the monster that much. But with this one, we're like, we said you're getting a graveyard shark. Here's your graveyard shark.
Oh yeah. So the person who was actually wearing the outfit, the costume, you said that the costume was heavy and everything like that. Like, was it hard to get that person in and out of the costume?
Yes. Yeah, we had a couple different people in the suit throughout the film, because one of our performers moved away mid-filming, and the suit fit him great, but it didn't necessarily fit the other performers. So the head alone was like 20 pounds. You sweat so much, you don't have any visibility and you can't turn your head. So we were really kind of limited in like what the monster could do physically. Like there are some limits to practical effects we learned in that like yeah, he can't see. So,
uh, Speaking of the practical effects, I say it in every interview that I have. I love practical effects. To me, it shows more passion for the film, if that makes sense.
yeah.
And there's no lack of practical effects in this movie. uh, when like adding the practical effects to the scenes and to the cast members and stuff like that, was there any one time where it was kind of like not working and it kind of was harder to film because the effect wasn't working?
Some things are really high pressure too. I don't think I can remember specifically one really not working, but I remember the like stress and pressure of there's a heart being ripped out. And so we had like a chest, but we could only use it once. So you get one take and all that effort went into like building this fake chest that you can reach in and pull out of, but you have one take and it's such an important shot. So that, and I will also say, as far as practical effects and things not going the best, I'm a vegetarian and have been for a very long time. But those guts in my hands, those are not, we use some real animal parts like from butchers that they're getting rid of. So,
Oh yeah. Uh, there there are multiple twists in this movie. I don't want to ruin anything, but when you find out how the graveyard shark was able to be able to do what he was doing,
mhm.
you read that part. Did you think that was like the final twist before you
you
got to
know,
the end?
yeah, when I was just reading through it the first time, definitely. I was like, oh, this is, a great callback. It makes a bunch of character behaviors make sense. I thought it was really kind of fun and interesting. So, and like, I don't know, it's kind of straightforward, but it's like it makes sense. It's simple, but it makes sense and it fulfills the plot. But yeah, I didn't. Then the extra twist at the end too was really fun.
Oh yeah. Uh the shark, the graveyard shark also gets to get a romantic interest in this movie.
Uh-huh.
Interesting way of going about it. I did not see that coming. So the actress who did that and was doing that was did she have free reign with that or was that all script?
There was like some, outlines of that scene in the script, but obviously it's most important for performers doing any kind of scenes like that to feel super comfortable and in control of the scenes. We have found that since the movie came out, there's a lot of people out there that really think Graveyard Shark's hot. So,
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that because I mean, my wife don't watch horror movies, but she heard me laughing at the movie, so she watched some of
uh,
it with me, and she was like, and then she looked at me, I was like, just go upstairs, but so I can see that. uh, so other than Graveyard Shark, you have two other projects that are you're filming or getting ready to get put out.
yes, one of
Uh,
them is wrapped and one of them is in pre-production. So,
all right, and Blood Red Beach. Can you
yes.
kind of give a brief synopsis on that and your character Ruby?
Blood Red Beach is also a Mad Angel film, so it's directed by Matt Peters. A lot of the actors that you saw in Graveyard Shark are in it. It's about a bunch of friends who go to an island owned by their friend Preston, played by Burndell, who also plays the captain in Graveyard Shark. And it turns out, oh no, the pirate curse that we thought was just a fun joke is actually real. And then there's a murderous ghost pirate. Ruby is a like I was really excited about this because Matt knows that I do a lot of stage combat, I do a lot of sword fighting. So she might get to do a little bit of that. She's really cool, really pragmatic. I think a little softer than Abby, like gentler, but
Oh
a
yeah.
cool get it done kind of girl.
Oh yeah. Uh, well, let's go back to Abby for a second because I saw kind of like again, correct me if I'm wrong. I saw a little bit of like Mean Girls in there mixed with Heather's, kind of mixed with The Craft.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, and I mean those are awesome movies, but to wrap all that into one character, I mean, to me, that's perfect. So, just my own opinion.
I think Abby probably would have gotten like bullied by the Mean Girls or the Heathers. I think she'd be more of like a Veronica Sawyer kind of type. Um, because I think like the hierarchy of the Heathers and the Mean Girls would like that'd be too exhausting for her. She'd be like, "We got to get stuff done. I can't do all this right now." So
Oh yeah. And your second movie that's in pre-production is Nightmare at Nana's.
yeah, I'm really excited. This is a new group I'm working with that I'm really excited to be working with based out of Vermont. And they've done a couple of other films before, but this is their first like full length one. And they do a lot of really cool animation stuff. So like a mix of animation and practical effects that I'm really excited to work on. I play the character of Stella. She's not nice necessarily, which is really kind of cool. She's like a rock star who is not afraid to crush other people to get the things that she wants. So it's kind of fun and different.
Oh yeah. So I always ask anybody who's on the show if there was advice you could give anybody who's trying to get into the industry in any facet of the industry, what advice would you give them?
My first piece of advice is to, obviously find auditions and stuff, but be a nice person from the second you walk in there until the second you leave. Be a nice person. Because most of the time, like you might walk into an audition for a film or send something in and you want to be nice in the waiting room because you don't know if there's somebody else in that waiting room who's writing a script or working on a script. So much of indie film is collaboration, and being able to work with other people, I think, is really, really important. My second piece of advice is make your own work because you can, you know, I'm never going to be in a Hollywood movie, but I am lucky that I have a group, groups of people who work really, really hard to make indie film happen. And without those kinds of people, we wouldn't have indie film. We just have, actors sitting here filming self tapes forever. So,
Oh yeah. Mad Angel Films, you're with them. They seem like a close-knit family, you know.
yes.
And Matt Peters seems more along the lines of he wants to definitely see you guys succeed compared to let's just film this.
Yeah, I really like working with that group of people because it is like working with friends, We have
Yeah.
really, really long days on set, as with indie film. Sometimes it's really, really cold, or you're really, really hot, or you're covered in meat or whatever, but everybody has passion for it, and you can't, it's not like you're rolling in the money from making indie horror film, but when everybody has that much passion and wants the project to be good and is having fun doing it, that makes it really, really, worthwhile to be working on it.
All right. We got about 9 minutes left. Well, 8 minutes left. Is there anything you'd like to say to anyone you've worked with that maybe you haven't said to them already?
I love you guys. I get really mushy gushy about it, I really do feel really, really lucky to get to work with the people that I work with. I'm really excited to work more with the team with Nightmare at Nana's. I always feel really, really appreciated and you know, well taken care of, and I just feel really lucky to get to work with those people. And yeah, though sometimes Burndale does take the leaves me absolutely astounded with the things he says. But nothing I haven't told people, I guess. No secrets.
Oh yeah. Uh, with Graveyard Shark out, what are your like hopes, and do you think it's going to exceed your expectations?
I think this project has definitely been our like most viewed. A really exciting thing is that next year it's going to the Tokyo Shark Film Festival, which is
Okay.
really, really cool. So it already kind of has. I mean, it's had showings in like Vermont, Massachusetts, Canada. So it's just being seen a lot more than other projects we've worked on. So I know for me, my expectations are definitely exceeded, and I hope it does that for, you know, everybody at large as well.
Oh yeah. Did you want to take a minute and plug your socials and just where people might be able to see some of your films and stuff like that?
Yeah, Graveyard Shark is actually now on Tubi, so you can watch Graveyard Shark for free on Tubi. I'd love for people to check out Nightmare at Nana's. There's a promo video for that out. Blood Red Beach is also coming out soon, so Mad Angel Films on Facebook, Nightmare at Nana's on Facebook also. And then my socials are at Lazy Rotini, LazyRotini. It was my name of my city in Animal Crossing, and I have stuck with it. I don't really have a good, but that's where all like my cosplay and things like that are too. So,
Oh yeah. My wife's uh Animal Crossing city is I think she's little squirt or something like that. I don't know. She plays it religiously.
good for her.
uh so did you want to play a quick game? Well, I'm gonna say three things. You just come off the top of your head with whatever is the first
Great.
thing that
All
pops
right,
in.
let's go. I'm ready.
All right. Graveyard Shark.
Muscly,
Matt Peters.
good friend,
Abby.
cool lady.
All right. Uh so the last question I have actually comes from my wife. She
Great.
said, "How did you get into character for Abby?"
My favorite thing to get into character, because I come from like a costuming background and a theater background, like I'm doing theater most of the year, then I get to do a few film projects. Character for me is clothing. Once I usually get Matt gives me like some ideas and some pictures for costumes, and then I go and I shop at thrift stores and I say, what would this person wear? What do they need to do? How do they move? How do they want to present themselves? And once I get those outfits on, I'm like, I get all of that now. So for me, I'm such a like outfit and appearance based or presentation based performer. Like that informs so much for me of beliefs, presentation, movement, everything like that. So
All right. Uh, I want to thank you, Stephanie, for coming on. You've
thank
been
you so much for having me.
oh, trust me, it was a blast. I it was my honor. I loved Graveyard Shark, and the only way that it goes higher on my list is if it's in my Hall of Fame. And once I've watched it so many times, it automatically gets in there, and I'm
All
probably
right.
gonna, So,
Well,
but
let me know what you think of Axe Grinder as well if you watch that one.
oh yeah, oh no, once I watch it over the weekend, I'm gonna put a review up there. So,
Awesome.
all right, but you've been a pleasure. Thank you, and keep kicking ass in what you do, and if you had to take those names and put them in the dirt, go ahead and do that too.
Will do. Thank you so much. And thank you for working with so many indie folks. I've seen a lot of really cool interviews on your page, and it's awesome that, to
Uh,
let the indie artists talk and things like that. So thank you.
all right. Well, trust me, it's my honor because without you guys, there's no NC-17. That's. So I appreciate you guys, and it's always going to be an honor to have anyone on the show. But for me, it's always the independent scene because, again, Hollywood, Hollywood's done what it's done, and I'm kind of burned by Hollywood a little bit. But other than that, it has been a complete honor. a complete privilege. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a really good night.
You too. All right, everybody, stay NC-17.